Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Before I start, please let me say thank you first to everyone from British School Manila for the invitation. It's my honor to be joining all of you guys today. And normally, I introduce myself as a storyteller. Hi, I'm Sergio, I'm a storyteller. But whether you're a storyteller or not, whether you're a poet or not, I'm pretty sure that whenever you get to meet someone for the first time, it always has to start with a conversation. It always has to start with a question, an answer, and a story. So if we're getting to know each other, I think it only makes sense, right? When you say, or when you meet someone for the first time, hi, hello, nice to meet you. And then it goes with, so who are you? Who are you for having a conversation? And then I go, oh, hi, I'm Serge. My full name's Sergio. They call me Gio at home. I like the nickname Serge because when I was in grade 4, I watched this episode of Pokemon and I liked the character there so much. He hit a Raichu, he beat up the Pikachu. I liked him so much, I decided to name myself after him. That's the reason why on my laptop, I have a Pokemon sticker on Raichu, a Pokemon sticker of Raichu on my laptop. So geeky, sorry. What do you love doing when you get to meet someone? I say, I like to run, I like to swim, I like to write poetry with my group, and then I go, I think the normal thing is, what do you love to do? And then they answer also. I don't know if you ever take the time to think about the number of questions you're asked in a day, but when you're a storyteller, you take every single opportunity to try to be able to say a story because when you're a storyteller, stories are your currency. Stories mean a lot to you. That's why I really think, and I honestly believe this, no other question in the world gets me like this. What's your story? Whenever someone asks me this, or whenever I'm talking to someone and they ask me this, I always have to go, wait. When you say, what's my story, do you mean, how did I manage to get from the point of my birth to being here, sitting across the table from you? Are you asking me how a multitude of different people have been able to educate me to become the person who's speaking to you today? Or are you just asking me, what's up? Maybe it's a big deal. Maybe it's a big deal. But when you're a storyteller, you don't take the word story very, very lightly because honestly, stories, if you ever hear a good enough one, have a way of changing your life. Let me share 2 good ones with you. People ask me all the time, I grow my hair out every year, then I shave it off, then I donate it to children with cancer. They ask me, why do you do that? The simple answer is always, oh, it's cancer advocacy, right? But the deeper answer to that is, oh, it's because I had this grandfather. He was my role model. He was the guy who gave my first Pokemon Game Boy cartridge growing up. And he passed away when I was in 3rd year college. And then there's this other kid. His name's Jarrell. He's a 6-year-old. He used to bop me on the head with a plastic baseball bat. It hurts a lot more than it sounds. He used to bop me on the head with it. And then he passed away when he was 6 years old. Those 2 people changed my life so much, I decided I shave my head every year. And I get the opportunity whenever people ask me, because someone always has to ask every year, why do you get your head shaved? Why do you get your head shaved? Why do you get your head shaved? I have the awesome opportunity to be able to say, oh, let me tell you about my grandfather. Oh, let me tell you about Jarrell. Do stories or amazing stories that change your life even have to be about real people? No. I think you've watched at least one cartoon or anime or movie that's changed your life so much in the way that you think. That for me is Dragon Ball Z. I always wondered growing up, why is it that they all wear different clothes? Apparently, in like season 4 or season 5 of Dragon Ball Z, they're all training in the hyperbolic time chamber. When you train there for 1 day, it's like going to the gym for 1 year. I wish we had that here, right? When they come out, all of their muscles are bulging, so all of their clothes break. So they're all required to wear the clothes here on the right side. It's the traditional Super Saiyan armor. But Goku, the one on the far left, he says, hey, you know what? I grew up on Earth, so I want to wear the traditional martial art clothing that all the Earthlings wear, hence it's orange. His son, Gohan, his first teacher was named Piccolo. He's a Namek. He's the green-looking character, and that's the reason why he wears that. Piccolo was his first teacher. So when I saw that, when you're a kid growing up and watching that, you're like, oh wow, they all just have different clothes. But when you get older and you find out the story behind it, like, whoa, I'll never see Dragon Ball Z the same way ever again. I share these 2 stories with you because I want to get one very, very simple point across, which you probably already know. Stories can change lives. Simple, simple point. You don't even have to look deep inside yourself, that deep inside of yourself to find out this is true for you. Maybe you had a father who used to tell you a lot of good stories growing up. That's the reason why you wanted to be a dentist or a doctor or a Jedi master or something. Apart from saying this, when you think about it, so many stories that you've heard growing up or seen growing up have influenced the way that you think right now. So when you think about it, when you say stories can change lives, stories are actually a working foundation for the person you've become right now. And more or less, the more stories that you hear growing up, maybe stories from me, stories from the rest of the speakers, even just stories from your friends, they allow you to be, or they allow you to build a much better person than who you are now. So isn't that great? But that's not even the best part about stories. Here's the next best part about stories. It's that everyone has a story. And not everyone's a storyteller. Normally, when you meet with friends, the first thing you want to be able to do is, hey, what's up? Hey, what's going on with you? Hey, what's your story, right? It's so natural. Everyone's a natural-born storyteller. But when you tell someone the first time that, hey, you know what? You're a storyteller, they usually go like, ah, what? No, I'm no storyteller. I'm no storyteller. Every time I tell people this and they freak out a little bit, I share this one story with them. And it's always very, very cute. So I had this wonderful honor of getting to meet two amazing spoken word artists by the name of Phil K. and Sarah K. It was amazing. I met them in 2014. And they were telling me, one of the best ways to be able to write poetry or stories is to make use of sensory details. So let's play this short game, they said to me. Okay? So how it works is, I'm going to give you a word, and you have to be able to use sensory details to describe that word. So it's like, happiness. What does happiness look like, sound like, taste like, feel like? Happiness, when I tried this out on a class one time, these were the answers. I want to share them with you. Happiness is waking up to a good morning and coming down to your parents with a McDonald's chicken for breakfast, right? Happiness is finding the right words to tell someone that you like them. I've been perfect for Valentine's Day, right? Happiness is catching a dratini in the safari zone. What about sadness? Sadness is playing the guitar and one string is off tune and you don't know why that is. Sadness is walking between tall buildings knowing that you are so small compared to all of these things, including the universe. How about the favorite one? Love is walking on thin ice and trusting you won't fall through if you're careful enough. Love is having no homework on the first day of class. Love is like thick glass that no matter how thick you get, if you fall, you break. Why do I share these examples with you? I share these because when I gave this to a class, the answers that you heard came from a bunch of 12-year-olds, 12, 13, and 14-year-olds. In my head, my God, what was I thinking of when I was 12 to 14 years old? That's why when I say everyone's a storyteller and everyone has a story, I mean this. Everyone is a natural-born storyteller. You can't be friends with anyone unless you can trade stories with them. I said stories are the foundation of an individual, right? But if you think about it, when you interact with your family, with your friends, with the people closest to you, how do you even build a relationship with someone? How do you build a foundation with someone? So apart from stories being the foundation of an individual, stories are actually the foundation of so many of your relationships already. Stories allow you to be much closer to other people. But how about let's push the envelope a little bit further here. I'm taking my philosophy master's in UP right now, and I tried having this discussion with one of my profs there. Everyone's a storyteller already, right? But have you ever heard this? By now, I'm hoping you think that you guys are storytellers already. I hope you believe me already. But have you ever thought that you guys are your own story? I guess the traditional way of thinking is always like, I'm the storyteller. There's the thought in my mind. And here's the story. They're two separate things, right? But when in reality, if you think about it hard enough, they're really just the same thing. I told you the stories of my grandfather and Jarrell earlier, right? These are stories I've told year after year after year after year after I got my head shaved. But when I thought about it, these stories, their stories, they never told them to me. I never heard the story of my grandfather from my grandfather. I never heard the story of Jarrell from Jarrell. I experienced it. I saw it. I think people have this crazy idea that the best stories are the ones we come up with in our head, put down our paper, put into words, but really, the best stories that we have are the ones we're writing right now. The best stories that we have are the actual lives that we have right now. So I guess, in short, what I'm trying to say is, your stories are your lives, or your lives are your stories. But when you think about that, what are the implications of thinking like that? When you say your story is your life, or you are your story, you start to think then that your life could be the foundation of someone else's life. You start to think then that your life or your story could be the foundation of someone else's relationship. You start to think that your life can change the world. And if you put all of these things together, it meshes and comes together to form this one beautiful point that I already shared with you, which you guys already know. Stories can change lives. And when I say stories can change lives, I'm really saying your stories can change lives. So maybe the next time you get to hang out with a friend or your mom or your dad or your family member and they ask you, hey, insert your name here. So what's your story? I urge you, tell the stories that you want to tell them what's happening in your life, tell them something interesting about yourself, but don't miss out on the opportunity to tell them the greatest story that you have. That is the one you're writing right now. That is your own life. And hopefully, as fellow storytellers also, I genuinely hope you're taking the time to write a good one worth telling someday. Thank you very much.